Hey, welcome. Happy opening day. Thank you for working through that.
I apologize. Technology is undefeated against me.
Even though we've been doing a combined radio for about, I don't know, 45, 50 years.
Doesn't matter.
Maybe more.
You know what? If we did it the old way, it would work. We do it this way, it doesn't always work.
Yeah. But you sound great and look great. And man, it's here. It's here, Chuck. And you've been getting ready and you've been doing these preseason games. But there is something that happens on opening day, and a lot of the country will get to see the Mavs today. Man, it's just fun to have you. What did you wake up? Does it feel that whole Christmas morning type feel to it? What do you get, the butterflies? Game one. What are you feeling today as we get ready for this Cooper Flag debut?
Always. I mean, the feeling, fortunately, doesn't change. I mean, I'm as thrilled today in the start of year 21 for me as I was the first NBA game I ever did. You know, it's the greatest basketball in the world, and I get to watch it 82 nights a year. And we have interesting stories to tell, especially this year. I think it's never have the Mavericks been more mysterious than they are coming into this season. And, I don't know how it's going to play out. Anybody who thinks they know it's going to play out is absolutely clueless. They don't know. And it's just like, I think, going to be reading a really good book. And tell me, I'm not going to go to the last page right now and see what it is because I certainly don't know what that is. But I think it's going to be a really interesting year.
By the way, what's the last book you read? Have you had any good ones here lately, or any sports books or anything come to mind?
Sports books. I read a short book about the Indiana Pacers of the ABA days and how they almost never made it to the starting block in the ABA, let alone doing what they're doing now, obviously, and getting to the finals. So that was the last sports book I read. I'm a big Grisham and Baldacci fan, so whatever they run out there, that's pretty much what I'm reading on the beach. And that's my summer reading. And then you get into the season, and it's kind of hard to do that.
Yeah. What did you think of the NBC presentation last night? It was kind of fun to see John Tesh, the old what's that thing called, Round Ball Rock. The old theme song, and then to see Michael Jordan at halftime. There were a lot of jokes on Twitter last night about did they have to do one really long interview with Mike Tirico, because obviously when those games are on Peacock and NBC, they're going to be playing some of that with Michael Jordan. But how fun was it for you to see? It's been 25 years since we've seen basketball on NBC.
Well, 2002 was the last year they had it. It was the finals of 2002 was the last NBC broadcast. I'm not big on pregame, halftime, and postgame. So, the whole inside the NBA and all the hubbub over that, and the hubbub over who's working for NBC or Prime. Although I will admit that I'm kind of curious about Dirk and seeing how that'll work on the Prime broadcast. But I don't watch them. I've learned, certainly because of football, which has totally soured me on the concept of pregame and halftime. They're not telling me anything interesting, and why I'm tuning in to watch the game. I'm not tuning in to watch them. And that's so. I mean, I hate to be a killjoy about that, but that's really where I am on that. I thought the game broadcast was great. I thought Jamal Crawford was terrific alongside Mike Tirico, and Reggie. I thought Grant Hill and Noah were terrific. Their cameras were great. Their graphics look really clean and crisp. It's a really good show, and I think that NBA fans ought to be happy with that, because I think one thing I did notice during the The telecast of the actual game was that they spent a lot more time on the game and a lot less time, talking about ancillary issues. They were paying attention to what was on the floor. And to me, that's what it's all about. I mean, you're tuning in to watch that. I don't really care what you think about the other stuff. Tell me why Shea only has 5 points at halftime, is taking only 5 shots. Okay, what's going on with that? And I think they did a really good job of that.
Do you ever get so into games that you stand up for a little? I just happened to notice last night that Reggie, in that overtime period, and I'm sure people loved it behind him since he's 6'6" or 6'7", that Reggie stood up that entire time calling the game over there on TV. Do you ever find yourself that you get so into it, you got to rise to your feet?
No, the only time that I do is there are certain buildings where there will be people in front of me and they stand up, so then I have to stand up. I don't like to stand up during basketball because I'm always writing during the game. It's, and even in football, when I did the years I did football, a lot of times guys stand in football. I would much rather sit and have room at the table to be able to do that.
All right. So Cooper Flagg, we've now had months to prepare for this night. Now that you've seen him in preseason and you've witnessed the buildup, are your expectations, have they gone up even more for him, having watched him some and watched how he interacts around his teammates and that kind of thing? Or are they still about the same as when I talked to you, after they took him, or after we got the huge news that they would be taking him? Where are you on that?
My expectations are the same. I mean, I think he's a really good player. He's 18 years old, basically going on 28, and he acts the part of an NBA veteran. There's nothing that seems too big for him. He doesn't get worked up over anything. Guys like playing with him. And I think he is giving them a certain intensity level that I think everybody appreciates, regardless if you're 18 or you're 32. And I think he's going to be terrific. Now, the only thing that I'm worried about, not so much from his standpoint per se, but from a Maverick fan standpoint, and especially those who have felt jilted over the last 8 months, and with some understanding that they're going to compare him to what Luka is now, and that's an unfair comparison. The correct comparison is, what was Luka as a rookie? What were his numbers? Was he rookie of the year? And let's compare paths then, and especially in light of, frankly, Luka came to the NBA as a pro. I mean, he played, been playing with Real Madrid on some level since he was 13 years old. I mean, he'd done it for 5 years. And Cooper Flagg, 2 years ago, he's playing for Montverde, or 3 years ago, he's playing for Newport High School, in Newport, Maine. And he goes to Montverde, then he goes to Duke, and now he's in the NBA. I mean, that's a pretty spectacular rise in a very short period of time. So his learning curve is still, I think, a lot higher than even what Luka's was. And even with Luka, it really took him a half season. I mean, look, when Luka started with the Mavericks, he was a power forward. Started as a power forward to begin the season. Before, midway through, he was handed the keys to the car. He didn't have a triple-double until his 45th game. I don't know that that's going to happen here, given the nature of the offense. That's a lot different than what we've seen around here with the Mavericks. But he's going to be really, really good. And I think people are going to appreciate how hard he plays, and ultimately the fact that how he plays contributes to winning.
Okay, when they play him at point guard, and I don't know exactly how long that will be and how much he'll do that. They obviously brought in a point guard to be ready, until Kyrie gets back. And they've tried to add some depth there. But like that, to me, and they did it with Giannis. I think Jason Kidd obviously played Giannis at point guard early in his time. That's, I don't know, in my mind, that's adding a lot. He already has a ton on his plate. That's adding a lot of responsibility. How do you how do you see that playing out, and where do you see his role in the offense early on here?
He's far better prepared to handle it than Giannis. I mean, Giannis was playing, I mean, pretty much like Division III at best basketball when he was drafted, and certainly the competition level was not nearly what Cooper Flagg experienced at Duke. So Cooper's far more prepared to handle this. I think there's a lot being talked about as it relates to the offense and point guard and table setter and things like that. But the Mavericks offense, as I mentioned earlier, it's different from anything really that we've seen. It's certainly what we've seen the last few years with Luka being a dominant ball handler and creator. In this offense, it's a Princeton style offense. I mean, even think back to how the Kings played when they were really good in the Weber, Peja, era. They were playing out of the high post. Everybody's touching the ball. Everybody's cutting and moving. And I think that's, really what you're going to see. I mean, the important part of all of this is to make sure that the ball gets to the front court quickly. And, it's Jason Kidd's goal that, he wants to play, in 6 seconds or less, as opposed to the famous 7 seconds or less that, that Mike D'Antoni's Suns played with 20 years ago. But they want to play fast. And so the idea is just to make sure the ball gets up the court. It's not like he's going to be pounding the ball and surveying and look, where am I going with this, after about 5 or 6 dribbles. I mean, the ball's out of his hands. He's moving, throw it, catch it, cut. Nobody's just standing around here. So it's, I guess the best way to put it is there's an ensemble cast without a lead guitarist.
Interesting. And we saw the Rockets were a little bit in that shape last night. And they had their
I will
moments.
say I mean, that was interesting, and they're huge. Okay. They're even bigger than how the Mavericks want to play. They had their average starting lineup last night was 6'10". The Mavericks aren't going to be quite that big, but this is something that's really going on around the league more and more. The thing, though, that it's really hard to judge it when you're playing Oklahoma City right out of the box, because all Oklahoma City does is create turnovers and get points off turnovers. And, you have to be prepared for the hacking and whacking that's generally not going to be called. And your mindset has to be there in order to do that. So that was a really hard game for that particular group to play. And listen, the Mavericks get Oklahoma City on Monday. So, they're going to have to, be ready for that too. If you can keep your turnovers, down to around, 15 or 16 against Oklahoma City, you got a chance. But when you're up in the 20s, like they often get to, and where Houston was last night, that's a really hard game to win. And really hard then to, especially early in the season, judge the relative success level of that particular style of lineup.
This is a long lineup for the Mavs. It is funny that they open with somebody that's arguably, I guess he's listed at 7'4". There's some argument that he might be more than that. He might be like 7'5". What a other than just the longtime rivalry, but one of the NBA's just great ascending players coming to town, that adds even more excitement to an already exciting evening, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And ironically enough, certainly this is the third consecutive year that the Mavericks and Spurs have opened the season against each other. And in both of those openers, Derek Lively very much outplayed Wembanyama, very much so. In fact, Wembanyama really, except for one half of a game last December when the Spurs were at the American Airlines Center, Wembanyama's really not been much of a factor against the Mavericks. I'm really interested to see what that looks like tonight. And I think Wembanyama in many ways was his own worst enemy, because he would just stand out there and jack threes. He's 7'4" or 7'7" or whatever he is. He needs to be playing around the basket. And in the preseason, the numbers suggest that the vast majority of his shots have come from in tight, where he should be. And again, so how does Derek Lively, who told me on media day that he's now 7'3" after being listed at 7'1", Again, how does all of that work? And that's going to be really interesting. You've got Luke. They got Luke Cornett also that they signed as a free agent from Boston, and they've gone with that big lineup and having Wembanyama play the four and play out on the floor. And how does that work? Say if the Mavericks are playing with Lively and Anthony Davis together. Again, just lots of things to look at, and really, the preseason doesn't tell you very much at all. So tonight we start unpacking all of this stuff.
I think Luke Cornett's mom used to be on the TV market here.
She was the lead anchor at Channel 11 at KDVT in Dallas, and Luke played high school ball at Argyle Christian, at Liberty Christian in Argyle. So
yeah,
yes,
where Jason
Tracy, who now is who lives in Nashville and still her husband Frank was a terrific player at Vanderbilt back in the day. He was a really good college player. I mean, not just some guy walking around here. And obviously, Luke went to Vanderbilt, and he's carved out a pretty nice place for himself.
All right, when you've been around Kyrie Irving in the build-up to the season, and knowing even when he's not playing how much of a leader and an important voice he can be, what is he saying? Like, what are you kind of hearing in terms of timetable? Because when I hear people make predictions, they're like, well, if he comes back and he's ready to go, this team is a contender for the championship. And
no one knows. I was going to say, no one knows when he's coming back. Nobody has said anything about when he's coming back. I will tell you that in practices, he's been officiating scrimmages. He runs with the guards. He's not going full bore with the guards, but when they go up and back, he's able to go up and back. It's not like he's limping or anything like that. He's definitely attacked the rehab. His spirits are great, but this takes time. Everybody wants him back tonight. Not going to happen. And realistically, since his surgery was on March 26th, after he was hurt on March 3rd, the early part of February seems a far more reachable goal and a far more realistic than anything prior to that. If he comes back early, that's great. For me, I'm certainly not expecting to see him until right before or just after the All-Star break.
All right, and I love getting your take on the rest of the NBA in the West. Let's keep it to the West. As we think about the Mavs and where they fit into this, who are some of the teams that you're pretty high on right now? Everything will continue to go through the champs, OKC, but who are some other teams? We saw Houston last night with KD. We'll see how that team evolves. They got an injury last night with Thompson that obviously may have hurt them in that game.
I think he just had cramps, though. I think
is that it? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything long.
Not a big thing. Yeah. Who else across? Between looking at the T-Wolves, looking at other teams, who scares you in the West?
Well, Oklahoma City's the best team. I mean, they're the best team when they have everybody. Remember, they didn't have Jalen Williams last night, Santa Clara Williams last night, because he's still out from wrist surgery. They're terrific. I mean, because they don't even have to shoot great to win, because their defense is so dynamic. They force so many turnovers and get so many easy points off of their turnovers. And then, when it got down to being a half-court game, you've got a guy who can make a shot. And Shea showed again that he is more than capable of doing that. Denver has really helped itself. Bringing in Valanciunas was a huge get for them. Bringing Cam Johnson, getting rid of Michael Porter. They're definitely a better team than they were last year. And of course, they took Oklahoma City to 7 in the second round. And if Aaron Gordon doesn't get hurt, might win the series, in fact. So they're absolutely a threat. And if they don't have the best player in the world, as Bum Phillips famously said about Earl Campbell and running backs, it doesn't take long to call the roll before you get to Nikola Jokic. So they're absolutely a factor. Houston's definitely a factor. Just I think for the defense that they're going to play, I think the loss of Van Vliet definitely hurts. I think they could be in the market for a point guard here, as we go through the season and up toward the trade deadline. The Clippers are the oldest team in the league, but if they are all healthy, which again is a very big if, how many games does Kawhi play is certainly at the top of that list. They got a great coach, got great depth on their team. They're an absolute factor. The bottom line on this, Matt, is that, and we're not even talking about Luka and LeBron. I think LeBron's going to come back in a couple weeks here. That the Lakers will obviously be a factor as well. It's a bloodbath. The bottom line is it's a bloodbath in the West. Every game it's going to almost feel like football. Like every game you win, you feel great. You lose, you're absolutely devastated. And it puts a lot of pressure, frankly, on your games against the East, to where you have to win, I think, at least 20 games against the East in order to put yourself in position to be a top 6 seed and avoid the play-in. I think that's an absolute minimum to do that. So that the bottom line on this is it's a bloodbath. And how do teams handle the fact that these games are all going to feel like playoff games? Are you really going to rest people in the early part of the season? Are you really going to experiment with rotations a lot early in the season? Can you afford to do that early in the season? Maybe if you're Oklahoma City, or Denver, you can do that. But if you're the Mavericks, you're the Lakers, you're the Spurs, you're Portland, those teams, like, they can't be messing around. I mean, they got to bank some wins and then start figuring out what does it look like going forward in April. Because if you're worried tonight about what does it look like in April, you may not get to April, and that's something that no team wants to experience. Because I must tell you, Matt, that the 4-month vacation that I had after the 2024 season was a heck of a lot better than the 6-month vacation I had after the 2025 season.
Because we know, we certainly know what that was like, and that was, that was a fun run. Okay, last thing, Florida Gators do have an opening there. You were there just a few weeks ago, and looked like you had, really enjoyed your experience, and I think you even got to visit with Billy Napier for a little bit, and you knew that it could possibly go this direction, and it certainly did. Do you, having gone there and having so much love for your alma mater, do you already have someone like this James Franklin excite you, knowing that he's now a hot name after he got fired at Penn State? It's funny how that works. Is there any other candidate out there that excites you because soon you may be joined by Florida State, you could be joined by LSU, you could be joined by Auburn very soon, knowing it's going to get very crowded.
Well, it's already crowded. I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on, and it's it is a byproduct of the playoff in a lot of ways, because people see, like, it's one thing if you're not one of 2 or one of 4, but if you're not one of 12, that's a problem, and everybody's impatient, and especially now in an expanded league, it doesn't matter, whether it's the SEC or the Big 10, Big 12, whatever it is. People who have been used to winning and winning a lot, when you're playing better competition, you might not be winning quite as many games. You might have to readjust what your expectations are, but no one wants to do that, right? So it's a really it's a kind of a crazy situation. I feel badly for Napier in the sense that he's a tremendous guy who I think really misunderstood what he believed his strengths to be. He believed his strengths were as a play caller and as an offensive genius, and really his strengths were as a CEO and building up the operation, something that was absolutely necessary at Florida, and he did a phenomenal job in doing that on just about every imaginable level. Florida was the best program in America from Sunday to Friday. It was Saturday that was a real problem, and he did not understand that, even when his athletic director was telling him that, I think your strength is as a CEO. I think you'd be better off doing that as opposed to calling plays. And Billy he rejected that, and basically he dug his own grave. So in that sense, it's hard to feel sorry for him in that, because he brought it upon himself. but I think he leaves the program in a far better place than where he found it. And as for the next guy, there's only one guy that everybody wants. I don't know that I necessarily believe in Lane Kiffin the way everybody else believes in Lane Kiffin, but that's the guy that they want. That's the guy I think that they're ready to truly sell out for. Kirby Smart makes $13 million. He's the highest paid coach in college football. I was just looking this up this morning. Of the top 10 highest paid coaches in college football right now, only 2 of them have not qualified for the playoff as of yet. Kiffin was actually number 11 on that list. There's a lot of Spurrier in him, and that's what everybody loves. At Florida, they want points, they want to be entertained, and they want some sass to go along with their coach. And Kiffin, he checks all the boxes when it comes to that. I'm not convinced they're going to get him. I have no inside information there, but I think ultimately, I think Jed Fish at Washington is going to be the guy. He did a really good job at Washington, did a really good job at Arizona, building that thing up from nothing before he took the Washington job. They're 5-2 this year. They're probably going to win 8 or 9 games. And he's a former Steve Spurrier graduate assistant. And so he is very familiar with the program, very familiar with Gainesville, with the Gator fan base. But there's a lot going on that campus right now. You've got an interim president, you've got a very active board of trustees and a state board that actually turned down the guy that the board wanted to hire as the president of the university. They turned him down. They said, no, you're not coming. So you got that. You got an athletic director who's been under the gun, got a little bit of a reprieve because Todd Golden won a national championship in basketball. But overall, his hires have not been great. And he's a guy that, frankly, is really concerned about, redoing Florida Field and getting it up to date. And, of course, getting it up to date means in what a lot of schools have done, Florida State among them, is reduce capacity, but by how much, and then how much is it going to cost, and all those. That's his big baby right now. And now you've thrown the football coach hiring into the mix, and now is how much is he says he's involved. They've got the consulting firm Turnkey, working with him. But how much of this is not just the big kahunas saying this is who we want and this is what we're going to do? That's it's kind of like really what SMU did with Andy Enfield when they brought him in for basketball. When Dave Miller basically he ran the search. Rick Hart, the athletic director, did not run the search. So I think that's kind of where we are in college sports right now with the money that is at stake. The athletic director, he's doing things, but he's not doing the things that we're used to seeing.
You're right.
For the last 30, 40 years, whatever that is.
Yeah. SMU said, Rick, thanks for shepherding us into the ACC. We're good now. We're going to.
Oh, but he didn't even do that. I mean, that was Dave Miller. That was all David Miller and Bill Armstrong and those guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, they were the huge money people.
Right.
And the people with the money are.
They're the ones who said, it's okay. We don't take any TV money for 9 years to go into the ACC. we got this. This is okay.
Yeah. He didn't get any blowback until he eliminated Pony Up. And then the Mustangs were mad. David Miller said, enough of this ridiculous Pony Up thing. Everybody's like, wait, we like this. We like saying Pony Up. All right. Man, Coop, that was great. Love having you. I'm glad we got that figured out. And 8:30 tonight, and what we'll do is we'll watch the national TV broadcast, but we'll sync it up and listen to you and Damaris, a Baylor man himself. And by the way, Strickland, who you were just talking about the AD, when I was covering the Baylor scandal of 2003, he was running communications at Baylor.
Yep. He was there.
Yeah.
I knew him when he was the SID at Tulane in the mid 80s. So, we go back a long way. It was, when I went down there a couple weeks ago, it was really nice to catch up with him. Spend some time with him. And I've known his wife a long time too. It was a lovely night, and then made even better by the most surprising of events on that Saturday afternoon.
against the University of Texas.
Yes,
where your son Jeffrey went to school.
No, he did not go there. He is Subway alumni. He is Subway alumni.
I got you.
No, as
He's
I always
such
tell
a fan that I've always just decided he went there.
As I always tell the story, Vince Young won his national championship the year before Chris Leak did. And he was at that very impressionable age. Whoever was going to win first was who he's going to go with. And so he went with Texas. So, he was he was very much in a minority of the 90,000 that were in the swamp, but he did have one Longhorn fan right in front of him that he could commiserate with as all of us were going berserk.
All right. Well, have a great call tonight. I appreciate you doing this.
Okay, take care.
There he goes. Chuck Cooperstein, the voice of the Mavs, 21st season. Hard to believe. He used to call TCU basketball back when Billy Tubbs was the coach. He did a lot of SWC stuff. He's done pretty much everything, but certainly capable of all kinds of. He was a big college football guy as well, so he's done all kinds of work in that regard. But he is the voice of the Dallas Mavericks and was there when they won the championship in 2011, and then those finals they went to, the one he referenced, and then the one in 2006 that they lost to the Miami Heat in part because of Bennett Salvatore. Yes, we still remember.
If you want the best for your body, you want Ascension Providence, the largest sports and orthopedics group in Central Texas. Using innovative and cutting-edge technology, we're able to understand your body better than ever, delivering treatment with precision. And with our fellowship-trained and board-certified doctors, you'll receive excellent care. Work with a team dedicated to your health, wellness, and safety.
So you can perform
at your best.
Ascension Providence, caring for Texas families for over 120 years.
Drive in the fall at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Waco. Huge savings and the best selection in Central Texas. From powerful Ram trucks, Motor Trend's Truck of the Year, to adventure-ready Jeeps and stylish new Dodges, we've got the right ride for you. Upgrading, downsizing, or buying your very first vehicle, Allen Samuels has you covered with friendly service and deals that make driving fun. Don't miss the Drive in the Fall event, only at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
When Central National Bank decided to partner with Baylor women's basketball, we didn't know exactly what that partnership would look like.
What brings you into the bank today?
For the last couple of months, I've been noticing a charge on my account, and I would like to block it.
I see. So you have a charge?
Yes.
And you'd like to block it?
Yes.
I think you should take the charge.
What?
Yeah, I definitely think you should take the charge.
I don't think you understand.
Sometimes you just have to take one for the team.
Is there a manager available?
We love that Coach Collin is all about the team. Once we get the vocabulary down, the sky's the limit.
Central National Bank, proud partner of Baylor Athletics and Baylor women's basketball.
I have Mac Rhodes, director of Baylor Athletics, on the phone. Mac, can you tell Peggy why she should take the charge?
Of course she should take the charge. Wait, are you at the bank again? And who is Peggy?
Football is back, and Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. You can play with as little as $1. Download the app today and sign up with promo code Mosley to score $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code MOSLEY. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next? Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That's 467-369.